Okay, Ada and the parents here, you guys, we have to rearrange you. Can you switch with your little girl? Yeah, we want Ada in the middle. Exactly. Good. And one of the reasons why we want to do that is because it's so obvious that what communion is to snuggle with Jesus. And so it's so awesome. I love going to visit like all the homes in our parishes. And last night I was in a home with a family that has 5 kids. And the kids all ask their parents the same thing. Can you snuggle with me before we go to bed? And that's what we want. This is what Jesus wants to do. He wants to snuggle with us. And that's what First Communion is all about. It is so cool to hear that. There was this one family I was with just a little while ago. Mom was pregnant, and she was sitting in a chair, and somehow one of the daughters was like, had her feet this way and her head out this way, and another was on the lap, and then the other was up like that. They were just all around, like they just wanted to snuggle. And then they asked, Dad, will you come snuggle with me up in bed? And it just is like, yes, that's exactly what communion is all about. So I just feel like it'd be good if Nicole and Ryan, if you guys are comfortable, just put your arms around your little one or hold her hand, whatever is best. Yeah, exactly. There we go. And maybe if you just look at her, and we'll start with Mom, and you just simply say, Ada, you're my beloved daughter, and I want you to receive Jesus. So, Ada, you're my beloved daughter, and I want you to receive Jesus. All right, Ryan, now you get to do that. Ada, you're my beloved daughter, and I want you to receive Jesus. Now, Ada, look at your mom and dad. Just go back and forth looking at them, where you're sitting. There you go. And just simply say, I love you, Mom and Dad. You can look at them and say that. And then say, I want Jesus. Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Exactly. You know, when you think about it, it's so incredible. Like, why do we have Christmas? It's so amazing. Like, the little baby Jesus was born so we could cuddle him. And I don't know what it was like to give birth to this little angel, this little child, what it was like to see her for the first time and like hold her in your hands and just like be able to squeeze her and love her. But you are so loved, Ada. It's incredible. I mean, you have 2 parents here that will do anything for you. They would give their life for you. They would snuggle with you. They'd hold your hand. And they're doing the greatest thing they possibly can do, which is to let you snuggle with God. I mean, who else could protect us more than God? And they both know that this is what's so great because you came from God, and now they're snuggling with you so that you can receive Jesus today. It's so mind-boggling. And when you think about it, it's so cool. Like, in the Last Supper, when Jesus did the first communion with his disciples, what's one of the first things that happens? He invites St. John to snuggle with him on his heart. And what was the circumstances? John was scared. He was nervous. You know, I looked at little Ada. Her mom told me when I walked in, she's nervous. Well, I'm nervous too. Your parents are nervous. I think a lot of people get, I mean, if I right now said, raise your hand if you've ever been nervous, everybody in this church would raise their hand and say they've been nervous before. So raise your hand if you've been nervous. See that? It's like it's normal to be nervous. And that's why we need to snuggle, because we could take our nerves and our things that hold us back. And then we said, like, I was super nervous. It was my first day of school. You know, we're doing First Communion, your first moment you were born. And I was so nervous on my first day of school. It was at St. Bernard's. I was going into preschool, and luckily it was rainy, and it was like a rainy day in like September or whatever it was. And I had a long like raincoat on, thank God. Because when I got out of the car and I walked up and I saw my teacher for the first time, do you know what I did? I wet my pants. Yeah, that's how nervous I was. And so then my mom was like right behind me, and I was like, Mom, this didn't turn out so good. And so she just grabbed me, and I remember she hugged me. She brought me back into the car. She took me home. We got changed, and then I took my second step into school. And that's what happens. That's what's so great about having somebody who will snuggle with us and love us. And And so the disciples, they were nervous. If you look at the first time that Jesus offered the Eucharist to them, they were nervous, and it was really hard. And so what does he do? He invites St. John to lay on his chest. But then he does something else, which is a sacrament that you've already received. He gives them what? He washes their feet. He blesses them. And what a blessing it is to have two parents that want to sit by your side. And I don't know if you were baptized. Where was she baptized? Do you know? St. Sebastian. So you're baptized in St. Sebastian. It was just like, I don't know, it's about 25 minutes on the other side here. And you can imagine, just as Jesus was washing his disciples, so you got washed. You hear that water? It's just kind of rushing down. And one of the things that water does is it cleans us. That's why I was late, because I had to take a long shower this morning, But so it has this effect of being able to wash us. And that's the blessing that you get. You just received the blessing from your parents by them telling you how much they love you and looking into your eyes and saying, "You're my beloved daughter." I mean, when the Father spoke to Jesus and blessed Jesus, we hear it just a couple times. And what do we hear the Father saying? "You are my beloved child." And so it's one of the greatest blessings we can ever receive, to hear our parents say, "You're my beloved child." And now today, Jesus gets to snuggle with that little child and gets to be with you. And now you take this first communion. And one of the things about all first steps, if my first step into preschool was just wetting my pants, that wouldn't have turned out so good, But I needed to walk back there. Or if my first step in this world, have you ever watched a baby take a first step? Isn't that the funniest thing? The other day I got to watch this in my office. It was so cool. So the baby was sitting down, kind of on his little bumper, and he was looking over, and I had a little stuffed animal, because the baby didn't want to come to my ugly face. But I got this stuffed animal, it's just this big white snuggly thing. And the baby super interested, tried to reach it, and I'd pull it back. And so I tried to reach it and pull it back. And then I was enticing him. And so finally he stood up, and the thing was right out, the little stuffed animal was right there, and then he fell back on his bumper. And then he stood up again, and then he took this 2, 3, and I made him take 5 steps because I wanted to make sure he could actually, So I was teasing him a little bit. And then he grabbed it and he just hugged it. And I don't know what it was like to watch your children take their first steps. But just to watch that, I was so happy. I'm my goodness, he just took some of his first steps. And obviously Mommy was there and actually had taken first steps before. But for me, it was the first steps that I've seen him take. So don't think I robbed everybody in the family of that opportunity. But there's something about those first tender steps that just, they have such a deep impact on us. And that's what First Communion's for. So that Jesus can snuggle with us and we can snuggle with Jesus. And it's so beautiful that this is normally done as you're doing today, with a community that wants to go to Mass with you, a community that wants to uphold you, a community that wants to have a priest in the sacraments, and a community that wants to love you. And I just want to end with one thing. I don't know if your parents have ever sung to you, or if you ever listen to music, or you ever get a chance at home to dance with your parents ever. Not that my parents are great musicians, but my mom, she used to sing this little song to me. And I don't even know French. And I guess she knew French. But I think this was the first sound that I ever heard, the first music that I ever heard. And it went like this. Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sana la latina, ding dong ding. Ding, dong, ding. I think I was 6 months when I heard that. I don't know how old I was, but I remember just hearing that, and it still chimes in my heart. Do you know the only time we know that Jesus sang in the gospel is at the Last Supper, when he was giving First Communion to his disciples. And it says Jesus sang the Psalms, and then they went out. Can you imagine the voice of Jesus singing to you because he gets to be inside of you and snuggle with you today? Let's all be open to Jesus singing in our hearts at communion, and realize that her first communion should be like our communion now, so that we too can be as excited and as nervous and is recognizing that the Lord wants to snuggle with us. Amen?